Did you know your business can honor God while transforming lives around the world? Welcome to the iBAM Biblical Entrepreneurship Show, the weekly podcast that inspires and equips Christian entrepreneurs to build sustainable businesses that glorify God and uplift impoverished communities. At iBAM, our mission is built on the three fish metaphor. Give a fish. We provide startup loans to launch businesses. Teach to fish. We offer entrepreneur training for lasting growth, equipped for discipleship. We empower discipleship to multiply impact. Join iBAM's founder, Steve Adams, as he shares powerful solo episodes and expert interviews filled with mentorship insights and real-life stories of how biblical entrepreneurship is advancing the Great Commission. Subscribe now and get ready to be inspired, equipped, and empowered to make an eternal impact.
Hi, this is Steve Adams, founder of International Businesses Mission, and welcome to the iBAM Biblical Podcast. And I just want to reinforce the whole purpose every time that I personally get on here is just to share really from stories and experience of my 40 years in business as a believer, trying to figure this thing out. What does it look like to work as if unto the Lord, to bring glory to His name in everything I do? I'll tell you, over 40 years, I've done it well and I've done it really bad. I've dishonored His name and I've honored His name. I'm reading a book right now called Mortification of Sin by John Owen, and it just blows me away how it doesn't matter how long you've been a believer, how many years of age you are, the posture that we need to take towards sin never changes. We have to be on our game because the enemy never is off his game, but yet we can be off ours. We can get very lazy. We can get cavalier with it. We can not guard our heart, as it says in Proverbs. But the journey has been a long one, and I've enjoyed it. What I thought I would do today is I wanted to just talk about my own journey, how I got into business and how the Lord guided me in that. But also I'm going to share a little bit from some of the board members of iBAM, okay? And I won't use their last names. I'll use their first names. I'll keep their business details generic. But I want to encourage you today with some stories so that as you potentially are embarking, maybe you're in a corporate job and you sense the Lord calling you out of it and you're trying to decide, do I have the right motive? Am I just trying to make a lot of money, or is this really to serve the Lord? Is the risk worth it? What if I fail? Questions like that. We'll talk about all of that as I unpack my story. But also, I want to talk about Warren and Alex and Roy, three people in particular. And this is not to exclude any of my other board members. If you're listening, don't be upset with me. I'll pull you in at some point, I promise, for time's sake. But we'll talk about some of the things that I've observed in their lives over the past 15, 20 years as we've done this work. So for me, it all started, when I graduated my undergrad program, I was very much a cultural Christian. I had got saved in high school, but I wasn't discipled. I was the first Christian in my family, so I was generation one with all of those typical struggles. I didn't even know where the books of the Bible were. Met an amazing young lady who was a cheerleader. I was a football player. Heidi, she became my wife. I was really drawn to her godliness, and we got married in 1987, and we moved to Detroit. And I started my career in banking. And she was in the power sports business out of her family, but she worked at a large dealer system in the Detroit area. So over the next 10 years, I did that. My wife became a mom, a couple little kids by the time we were in our early 30s. And I sensed the Lord calling me to a ministry to entrepreneurs. When I was a corporate lender, I worked with entrepreneurs every day. And I saw those who did really well and did it well, and those who made poor choices. And it's not always true, but it seemed like the ones that did it well and lived well were the believers, and the ones that made really poor decisions were not. And I'm not saying that's a perfect correlation, just in general. but it really challenged me. I really had a heart for that person of the entrepreneur as early as my mid-20s. And so now it's the mid-90s. I'm just turned 30, and I had a big closing. It was pretty epic in terms of how it was going to advance my career. And I just sensed God telling me as I was driving home that night, I want you to leave all this. I want you to be an entrepreneur. I have a ministry to them. Didn't know what that meant. I'm pretty conservative theologically. I wasn't sure if that was just me or was that really God. So it took several months. Got counsel from friends, from a couple of pastors at our church. And the consensus was this was real. And ultimately, when my wife bought into that this was real, that's when it really got real for me. Like, okay, we're going to do this. And I found an opportunity in a franchise system. And in June of 1996, we sold our home and packed up a couple of 26-foot rental vans because we had a full house with 2 little kids. I think our daughter was a little bit, maybe around 3, not quite 3. No, she was 3 months shy of being 3, and our son was 3 months shy of being 1. So it was really young. No safety net, man. It was like jump in both feet. We moved to a town called Appleton, Wisconsin, which is in the Fox River Valley, Green Bay, Appleton, Oshkosh, Fond du Lac. It's 4 cities between the Bay and Green Bay down to, there's a huge lake, and I'm forgetting the name of the lake now. It's been so long. It's been 25 years since I lived there. But what an amazing place, amazing people. Loved it there, got in a church who really embraced us. And that season of my life was just pain and suffering, all the struggles that an entrepreneur goes through. And little did I know then, the thing that got me through it was I remember thinking the Lord did not call me out of that career into this to fail necessarily. Now, I could have failed, but I just kept the faith, worked through my problems. I had to get a job again in banking for a few years just to recover financially, but then I jumped back in and I never turned back. And I did that for 21 years. And in about year 8 of the 21 years, so this would have been like 2004, I went on a mission trip with my church to the hill tribes in Thailand. And our church had partnered with a pastor in Bangkok, Thailand. And he had a couple of youth hostels up in the mountains where Myanmar and Thailand and China and Laos come together, and maybe there's one other, maybe Cambodia. And I think it was called the Golden Triangle or something like that. And it just rocked my world. And it was amazing to see these little kids. They were singing hymns that I knew. They were singing it in their tribal language. And it really impacted me. And my pastor suggested maybe God was calling me to missions and I should look into business as mission. And so when I got back, I really dove in and studied, business as mission movements. I read books by Michael Bear, who I had on our iBAM Summit, Kingdom Impact Summit. It was so cool. I'd never met him. And here it was 2025. And I'm meeting the guy that wrote the book in 2006 that I read that really caused me to go from research to action on iBAM. So it was such a great interview with him. And in addition to that, I read about Dr. Muhammad Yunus in Bangladesh, who won a Nobel Prize, completely secular program, but it was good to study models. And it was really between those 2 books. I remember I was on a flight from Grand Rapids, Michigan to Atlanta, Georgia, where I just committed to the Lord's like, Lord, I believe this is it. I'm not sure. And shortly after, I was invited to a region of Russia that I can't name because I need to protect those who are there still, to go on a trip to teach business as mission, to teach business principles. And at this point, I knew I wanted to do BAM, but I had no idea. I had no models, no concept. So I got invited to go to this place. Some friends of mine from my church in Wisconsin were missionaries to this part of the world by now. And now we're talking 10, 11 years since I was in Wisconsin. So I went and I worked with them. No, but before I went, I had to go to Atlanta. And I trained with a guy named Tim in Atlanta. And this was Michael Bear's guy. I was actually training with the right-hand guy of the guy that wrote the book that got me involved in missions in the first place. It was incredible. And I never got to Michael until, like I said, a couple months ago at the summit, Kingdom Impact Summit. But anyway, they said, hey, we just want to encourage you to take this curriculum and run with it. You can have it. It was super generous. They were doing it through a church in Atlanta, suburban Atlanta. But I got a sense that maybe they were a little fatigued. They've been doing it for 10 or 15 years. They'd had hundreds of business startups, did a lot of great things. And their model was put a bunch of Americans on an airplane and go somewhere and teach this. And that's what we did for a long time. So I'm not knocking it. So I go, and I remember I had to fly to a city that most people have never heard of in America, and I won't name it again to protect the security of these missionaries, because it's mainly a Muslim background area. And I went, and when I got back, and I was scared to death, because, I grew up in the 60s and 70s, the Soviet Union, that was our mortal enemy. And here I am in 2007 flying there, first time in my life. I'd had a couple international trips, nothing like this. And I went, and I spoke no Russian. Today I speak decent Russian. I speak a lot of it, definitely not fluent by any means. But so I can get my own now. Then I had none, so it was terrifying. So I got there. We did the training. I worked with a guy named Sergey and another one named Artur, and amazing guys. One of them left the Russian mafia, got saved. Just amazing stories that I've never have heard. I remember getting on the plane on the way home and going, Lord, this is it. This is what you called me to. And so I came back and I started studying models, and my goal was, I was in a business. I had a couple partners. Our pet business now was up to maybe 4 stores. It was doing well. We had some real estate. It was doing well. And I was like, how can I position myself to do this full time now? And my partners were wonderful. They supported all the trips I was taking, the time away. I treasure their endorsement of this today still. And then something terrible happened. We had a major project failure in our real estate arm. I won't go into details on it, but it took 10 years of suffering, honestly, to work our way and pay off all of those bills. And we did. And I'm really proud of me and my 2 partners, Chad and Aaron. We worked through that together. And we paid it off. And God was with us every step of the way. But I remember thinking, Lord, you called me to this, and there's this huge delay of time. And but what it did was I still did it. I just had to do it a different way. And so our model from the very beginning, because of this, was we wanted to empower indigenous believers instead of us setting up companies, because that seemed to be the way I wanted to go. I wanted to set up my own companies overseas, raise the money, and then bless people locally. But given what I was facing, no way, couldn't do it. So over the next 10 years, and by the way, that was actually the model that Michael Bear was doing. So we just chose to embrace that. And we went to places like Jordan and Serbia and Ukraine and Moldova and Uzbekistan primarily, and then Kyrgyzstan and Tajikistan, many places in China doing this work, okay? And so in 2017, I left that company. I had a lot of work to do on me. I had a period of brokenness. Had come through the business crisis, but I had an emotional, relational, and physiological crisis as a reverb from that. I'm not blaming all that on there, but I needed to work on me. I needed to work on my marriage. And so I took a year off and then came back and was on the board and did several teaching trips. And for the last 5 years, I've been back as the leader of iBAM as president, and started 3 new companies. I'm an entrepreneur. I can't myself. I'm still in the game with our students. Okay. But one of the things that we realized when the pandemic arose was, hey, we can't get on an airplane anymore. We gotta do something different. So we created our whole thing online, just like a lot of people did with their businesses, and we found that it worked. And we found that, hey, We didn't need to go there, and we could get good results. The other thing that happened was we, years earlier, started investing in a platform that today we call BizTools, because what we found out there in the BAM world was it was relational, but it wasn't accountable, it wasn't tracked, it wasn't rigorous. And we were coming back from trips and people were exhausted and we'd forget what we learned, and we had 10 versions of the truth. We had Excel file upon Excel file, and it's like, that's enough. We have to build so we can franchise. That was the standard. Like, could we give it to other people and they could run with it? And so through the leadership of a guy on our team named Daniel and an amazing software developer named Christoph, we were able to do that over 6 years. But it's been 7 years now, I believe. But 3 years ago, we realized we have something special, and we really heard God speak to us, like, give it away. And how could we be in every village of the world? Well, we can't be in every village of the world, but what we can do is we can teach our process, and people that we partner with can take it to every village of the world and their part of the world. And that's how iBAM has transitioned since 2022. And I'm excited to tell you here, 3 years later, we can see the seedlings of something that we believe can exponentially grow globally and help tens of thousands of people, millions of people someday. And what I want to tell you is that through all of that, all of our board members had personal trials, had issues with their health, issues in their business. Maybe some had relational issues. The enemy was at work through it all. And I guess I'm getting the other stories because I need to end this. But what I want to tell you is, I believe that God calls to great suffering those saints that he has great callings for. Okay. And just as Jesus suffered greatly for the amazing calling that he had, I see that in people, person after person after person who has been called to something bigger than themselves. God calls them to die and to suffer. And I want to encourage you, don't think because your business is failing that you weren't called to this. Just be still and know that I am God, says the Lord in Psalm 46:10. And Psalm 27:14, he says, wait for the Lord. Be strong and courageous. Wait for the Lord. Surrender yourself. Consecrate your heart to the Lord. Remember, you are not responsible for the results of your company or your evangelism. You're responsible to steward who you are and who you're becoming, to be an apprentice of Jesus, to grow and to become a disciple. And through the outgrowth of that journey, you're going to attract people who want to know why. Pray for persons of peace, people that God is drawing to himself, and then introduce spiritual conversations to people that you believe the Spirit has led you to, and disciple them. And in business, God is going to decide, not you, whether your business is blessed or not. You may be called to suffer and to generate marginal results your whole life, but get by and have an amazing ministry to people. God may choose, like David Green, to bless him in a multi-billionaire. I've met David Green. I've had dinner in his house. He is the most humble saint I have met in my life, one of them. And he will be the first guy to tell you it was all God. He simply was faithful as a steward, and that'll take the pressure off you. Let it go and just show up as the best version of yourself. Be a steward. Study what it means to be a steward and journey forth. Persist. Don't give up. Trust the story. As it says in Matthew 6, have good eyes, meaning see the world abundantly, believing God has your back, that he has good gifts for you, that he is going to always provide for you. That doesn't mean he's going to make you Bill Gates, but he's with you every step of the way. And therefore, you will have the generosity of heart, the eyes to see a world where you can lay up treasures in heaven instead of earth, where you can serve God, not money. And therefore, as you roll into verse 25, you won't worry about what you eat, you drink, or wear. You won't worry about your life. You'll be free. You'll be used by God. And that's what we want to do in our businesses, is show up every day and love people, promote human flourishing through your business uniquely. It could be a janitorial supply business. It can be a health business. It can be a pet business. It can be a software engineering business. In some way, you are improving human flourishing through that business. And remember, God intrinsically values your work. It's not, you don't work just for giving to the church and to missionaries. That's an instrumental view of work. It is valid. It is true. You want to do that. But God intrinsically values the work. Work is good. You were called to work, and merge it all, man. I'm telling you, don't have this, I'm in church on Sunday and that's spiritual and work is different. It's all one thing. And I'll close there and just encourage you. Keep going. Don't give up. Have people around you who can encourage you, hold you accountable. Get on our website. In January, we're going to release something called Third Fish Academy. And it's really, it's a free resource, an international program for a domestic audience, free to use for you. It's going to encourage your life. Get in our community at iBAM, which I think will also launch later in January, where you can meet like-minded people here and get encouraged, okay? And learn how to be a disciple maker, and to steward that business, steward your life, and become an apprentice of Jesus. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the International Business as Mission podcast, a space where we explore how to build businesses rooted in biblical principles that create global impact. But we're not just here to talk. We're taking action to spread entrepreneurship to poverty-stricken communities around the world. Our mission is to be the catalyst that empowers people to build sustainable livelihoods and break the cycle of poverty. We follow the 3 fish principle. 1, give a fish, providing startup loans to empower entrepreneurs. 2, teach to fish, offering entrepreneurial training for sustainable business practices. And 3, equip for disciple making, building a community that supports spiritual growth alongside business success. This is life-changing work, but we can't do it alone. We need passionate impact partners like you to join us on this mission by becoming a donor. Your generous gift will directly fund the establishment of new businesses that provide dignified work and hope. Just imagine your donation could help a single mother in rural Africa start a small farming venture that allows her to feed her children and send them to school, or a young man in Southeast Asia to launch a small business. Breaking the chains of generational poverty. This is the power of entrepreneurship as a force for good. Will you join us in unleashing it? Go to ibam.org now to start impacting lives through the transformative power of business as mission. Together we can create a world of flourishing.